I know if I started by saying something along the lines of, I've got a small problem. Probably, A, wouldn't surprise anyone. B, wouldn't narrow it down very much. Dani Sureck, Darren Urban, yours truly, Paulie Podcast. But here's the problem I'm currently encountering getting ready to play the Rams. I can't look at their depth chart and not see Billy Bob Thornton playing linebacker. This Nate Landman guy is killing me. Just the name Landman on the back of his jersey.
That's hurting you?
I'm thinking
I thought
Billy
for a minute
Bob
there, I'm
Thornton.
like, I'm trying to picture, do they have a really skinny dude playing linebacker? Oh, but you're talking about, okay.
I just looked it up. He's 6'3", 235. You're right, Billy Bob, 135 maybe?
He's looking a little emaciated in those commercials lately, yes.
But it's a really good TV show, and I just hope Nate Landman, who just signed himself a fat new contract, by the way, isn't half the linebacker that the drama, the TV show is.
Oh, let me know when you want to talk about something I can be included in.
Danny, you haven't heard of or seen Landman
Jerry
at
Jones
all.
has been in Landman.
It's, by the way, it's set in West Texas, and they shoot it in the Fort Worth area. For what it's worth, that is, I did a quick search on that one. So, and he did say after week one, he was like the NFC Defensive Player of the Week, and then they asked him on CBS because Paramount property, and they asked him if he would like a cameo, and he cut Bill Cowher short. He said, "Love the show. Give me a cameo. I'll be there anytime they're shooting."
Did he just get a contract extension?
Big time, yeah. In fact, here, wait a minute. It's 3 years, $22.5 million extension. He was born in Zimbabwe, and then his father was a rugby player, and then grew up mostly in Northern California and bounced around. Got cut in like March. The Rams signed him, and so far it's been a home run. So anyway, Billy Bob Thornton is not playing linebacker for the Rams. I have to remind myself.
I wouldn't know either way, but I trust you.
That needed a light? I don't think that gets a light.
We're getting
if you
too
thought Billy Bob
loosey-goosey
Thornton
over
was
there.
playing linebacker for the Rams,
Too
again,
loosey-goosey
at
with the
120
light.
pounds.
Here we go. Now finally I get some disagreement. Here I get some pushback. Now we're ready to podcast here. All brought to you by Pacific Office Automation. All right, so here we go. Back from Tampa. The 9th one-score game of the year, and 7 losses, all by 4 points or fewer. Are they the same? I mean, how similar, dissimilar? Every football game is a snowflake. I get it, right? No two games are created the same. Always different storylines. But at the end of this season, are you going to look back and are you going to draw parallels in the loss column?
To a certain extent, big picture, there are areas that have continued to be struggle points for this team regardless of who they're playing. The run game has struggled on offense. That's been a problem pretty much until this past week offensively. But this past week in Tampa Bay was a lot of missed opportunities. And that hasn't always been the case in some of the losses for the Cardinals. And in many senses, with the exception of Seattle and San Francisco, the Cardinals weren't blown out of the water. So those two losses are really different than every other early loss, where at one point the Cardinals lost 3 straight in a walk-off field goal. So the losses are not the same. In Tampa Bay, it was a lot of missed opportunities. You had a red zone interception, a fumble, a missed field goal. That hasn't been the case collectively in the same game consistently for this Cardinals team.
Yeah, like you start the second half, you get a 13-yard run, and then next play, fumble.
For a while at the start of the season, we were talking about the defense needed to be stronger in the fourth quarter and how good they were in the first 3 and how that fell off in the fourth. And then about halfway through the season, we started to see the consistency in the fourth quarter of the defense. So, no, not every loss has been the same. Have there been, again, struggle points or themes, big picture that have shown up consistently? Yes, but the losses have been pretty different.
And then the next drive, you had a 10-play drive. There were 4 plays of 10 yards or more, but you missed the field goal. So there's still that certain degree of self-inflicted, right? And so we like to put in correctable versus concerning. Those sorts of areas are correctable. But when they're persistent, when they happen in multiple weeks, does it then go from correctable to concerning when you're not correcting it, if that makes sense?
The close loss thing is always so fascinating to me because, Paul, you and I have been around in previous iterations where if they were just close enough where you saw it moving forward. And I just think that I think you can't get past the backdrop of the hope that they were going to take this step this year, and it just hasn't quite come to fruition, and it's happened in potentially the most frustrating way possible.
But then again, to your original point, it's the NFL. You can be close on the scoreboard and not close in the standings. It's the way it is. Kansas City was 11-0 in one-score games last year.
Yeah.
They started 0-4 in one-score games this year.
0-5, I think.
0-5.
Yeah.
And so Jacksonville was 3-10 in one-score games last year. Look at Jacksonville now. So that gap you need to bridge from losing to winning close games, I think that's what makes it not only frustrating and vexing and all of that, but beyond that, I think it makes it difficult to diagnose and assess because, okay, how close are you? It's really hard to decipher. I mean, look at some of the quarterbacks. Like, for example, let's use the Bears.
Bears.
They have a
Oh
young.
boy, we're using the Bears as an example. How far have we come?
They have a young, athletic, dare I say erratic quarterback where the coach just said we're winning in spite of the pass game, not because of it.
He literally just said that. Yeah.
It's also the same coach who's taking his shirt off in the locker room to give free hot dogs to Bears Nation and Chicagoland at large.
Playing to the crowd. Performative.
But they right now lead their division. And last year, they were dead last. And there's always one team for every year since 1990, everybody now that goes from worst to first. I get it. But if you examine the how, Danny, I know you're looking at me and you're like, okay, where's this going? If you look at the how,
we do that often.
how are they winning with a young, athletic, erratic quarterback with consistency and accuracy issues? Well, to your original point, the run game, they fixed the offensive line. They ran for almost 300 yards at Philadelphia. I mean, Eagles fans are going after the OC. Did you see your run defense? We'll get to that a little bit later. And they obviously have a dominant defense at times, a good pass rush.
Well, the reason I was looking at you with a smirk is thinking how far the Bears have come. It was this time last year that Tyreek Stevenson on the Hail Mary bluff found his way on your pole of ineptitude.
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because if he's not off the pole, he is now after what we saw from the Giants kicker on Monday Night Football.
Yikes.
Did they come up with like the great snub or is there any sort of nickname they've attached to that
that doesn't
yet?
count as a missed field goal because he didn't make contact.
Is that true? Really?
Yes.
Yes. How about this?
Gosh.
He said later he saw the ball was moving and that's why he did it. I'm like, you almost broke your ankle, dude.
It was by design. Is that what he said?
Well, it wasn't by design.
He kind of
Meaning-
slowed down.
He means he
I
wanted to
see.
He
avoid
had
kicking it.
reason, yes.
Oh, so he threw the holder under the bus. Is that what he did?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
The holder who got sacked.
Yeah.
I just tweeted out he should replace his divot. That's all.
Boy, I was just going to make a golf analogy. Next time I yank one out of bounds, obviously I saw the ball moving and I altered my swing at the very end. It's I almost reached out to Jay Feely when I saw that. I said, no, don't bug Jay. It's like 9 o'clock at night. I wanted some feedback on that. Has anyone ever seen that before? So because of that, Danny, the power pole of ineptitude, I think, now includes the Giants kicker. How about that?
Yikes. I mean, good news for Tyreek Stevenson.
That's right. Oh, my goodness. All right, what other takeaways from Tampa? What else stood out? I know the locker room, Darius Robinson obviously had something to say afterwards, holding himself accountable, looking inward. There were a few of us there at his locker, and
I'm gonna say that though. I thought it was interesting. He did hold himself accountable, absolutely. But some of the initial, and I wasn't there. You were there, Paul. You told me about it. I was able to get to it once we were in flight and looking at it. It doesn't take away necessarily the importance of what Darius said, but one of the things that I noticed was when he said, I'm not good enough. And that's kind of where the tweets would end as people were putting it out. But the very next words out of his mouth were, and that's okay, because I'm just going to keep grinding. Yeah. And it to me, the context changes somewhat dramatically if he just stopped at, I'm not good enough, to where he was. And I'm not blaming anybody one way or the other, but I'm just saying, like, it wasn't like he was throwing himself off the side of the building.
The exact quote was, "I'm not who I thought I was.
Oh, that's what it was.
I feel like I haven't done enough to help my team win games. I have to evaluate myself. I got to get better. I got to hold myself accountable." And then, yes, part of what you said there, just for what it's worth, there were only a few of us at his locker at that point. And then when the cameras turned off, I did ask him one-on-one. I just said, "Okay, so where? Like, how? Like, what do you mean? Where do you want to get better?" And he said, well, and he used the word flow. He wanted to get to that flow state that he said he feel like he has not done in the NFL yet. I presume he did as a first-team all-SEC guy at Mizzou. You watched a lot of his games, Danny. I presume, he had a certain confidence / impression of himself, and he probably hasn't achieved what he thought he could in the NFL yet. And then afterwards he did say as well, because his run defense, and we've heard Nick Ross and Jonathan Gannon talk extensively how much better he is against the run, but he'd say winning his one-on-ones in the pass game, in the pass rush, getting to the quarterback, getting off blocks, getting into the backfield with more frequency. So to be specific, those were the two areas where he followed up afterwards when I asked him about where he wants to get better.
Robinson was a first-round pick. So not to say, I want everyone to be upset with themselves. Absolutely, you want more than what you're getting out of a first-round pick. And to Robinson's credit, he played 6 games last year. The final 6 games, it wasn't like he could reach that quote-unquote flow state, because that's typically how long it takes for a rookie at the start of the season to really start to understand the speed of the game and where they need to improve, and then they can really make that jump. He's played a lot of ball this year, though, and what I noticed is when we started hearing from the DC and the head coach about how well Robinson was playing, coincidence or not, it was when the rookie, Walter Nolan III, made his debut and was wreaking havoc in the backfield and getting to quarterbacks and getting to running backs and garnering attention, which allows players like Robinson to have more advantageous one-on-ones and win some of those. And Nolan missed Sunday's game because of an injury he sustained the week prior. So you want to hear, right? Like, I think that is good to hear, of players holding themselves accountable. And it's not just the coaches saying it's on us, we have to coach better. It's on the players as well, because to a certain extent, the players are the ones on the field. You had
Darius Robinson saying what he said. Chad Ryland, the kicker, found me later after the game because of how things worked out, and he had family that was waiting for him. So by the time the media got in there, he wasn't in the locker room anymore. But he sought me out to make sure that he could put out publicly that it was not the holder of why he missed the field goal. It was on him. And anybody suggesting it was a bad hold was just wrong.
Just leave that to the Giants kicker. Anyway, go ahead.
Because they did suggest that on the broadcast, and it was kind of circulating.
They did. They had the side-by-side of 2 kicks, and essentially implied one was more vertical and the other was flatter.
And Chad basically said the 2 kicks came on opposite sides of the end, and because of where the wind was on the one side, he wanted the ball more up and down, and that's why it was different. So he said
I think the other reason was he was talking to Matt Hawk right after the kick on the field and then came to the sideline. They had another extended conversation. I think the cameras caught that as well.
And that's possible.
Yeah.
And then Monday, after setting all his records again, Trey McBride talks about how it was eating at him that he essentially messed up the block on 4th and 1. And when you go back and look, with all due respect to Trey, and again, he was holding himself accountable, he released his block pretty early, and it cost them. And it goes back to what Danny was just saying about the accountability. It's there. And I completely 1,000,000% understand fans who are frustrated with the losses and where it's going. But after a loss, all you can expect from these people is to try and get better, but take accountability in their mistakes. And from the people that we're around, they are.
All right. Let me say this. The coaches are not going to hold the players accountable with the media.
Publicly, yes.
Yeah, they're not going to put it into a press conference. Doesn't mean it isn't happening behind the scenes. Doesn't mean it isn't happening in the locker room. Doesn't mean it isn't happening on the sideline, which I've witnessed. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen right after the game in the locker room before the media is allowed in, which is happening. So don't think there's a lack of accountability or coaches holding the players culpable just because they don't do it in front of a podium and a microphone.
I don't know, Paul. I heard a quarterback in the AFC hold his teammates pretty accountable by name the last few weeks.
And you wonder, and gosh, who wouldn't want to play with him?
You wonder why I never picked that team in our picks. Anyway, go on.
We're talking about the Yinzers. Is that what we're talking about?
Maybe.
In the Berg? Okay.
No, you're right.
Were they really booing Renegade and Sticks, by the way? I mean, that's when it's gone bad in Pittsburgh, when they're booing Renegade.
It feels really weird, though, when they start chanting fire Tomlin, like when you have 3 coaches in 80 years or whatever it's been.
You do have a good point, though, Paul, is just because it's not being said with the lights on and behind a microphone doesn't mean that it's not being said behind closed doors, which is really where it matters most. And when this coaching staff and front office from the get-go has talked about building the right culture, that includes that decision. That includes keeping those sort of criticisms in-house and not airing things out to the media and throwing their players under the bus. I mean, special teams coordinator Jeff Rodgers mentioned that at his press conference Tuesday. There were a couple of questions, back-to-back questions about the missed field goal and whether or not it was the mechanics or the hold or simply just the kick. Did the wind play a factor? And at first he kind of danced around the answer, and then after persistently getting asked detailed questions, which props to the media member who was asking that, Rodgers straight up said, I'm not going to criticize the player to the media. Like, the kick was missed, and that's that.
If you want to lose the locker room, start criticizing individual players in the media. That's just my finding.
100%.
They're doing this for a number of years. I'm old enough to have remembered at least one former head coach over the last 30 years who did start criticizing players by name, thinking they were holding them accountable. And what happened was it was self-defeating in the locker room. Let's put it that way. Did not go over well with a lot of players.
What's funny, Paul, is, and again, I have a feeling I know who you're talking about, but like I can think, as soon as you said that, I can think of at least 3 different coaches that were easily did that all the time for this team.
And that might be the exception. If that's the norm and you're consistently calling out and citing players on a regular basis, then you can get away with it. But if it's every once in a while or
I guess
only after a bad loss,
and that may be true. But I mean,
it can be detrimental to the culture in the room.
Maybe I don't know exactly. Maybe I don't know what you're talking about. But like, BA used to call out lots of guys, and let me tell you something. He did it a lot. It didn't always go over real well.
No, you're right.
Denny Green.
Oh yeah,
that didn't go over real well.
No.
Buddy Ryan. No. I don't care how much you're doing it. Eventually, players are going to get pissed off.
Buddy Ryan would call, and Denny would call out his own staff.
No, that's true.
I mean, forget players, he would cite assistants. So, of course, it was a bit of a different, more of a Wild West back then.
Right.
It's not nearly, it wasn't nearly as corporate as it is now.
And that's true. And
well, in social media now, right? Like everything is clipped. Everything. A great example is this Robinson quote. Things can easily be taken out of context.
All right, getting back to Darius Robinson real quick, but hitting zoom out in a way. Josh Sweat is having a Pro Bowl season. Do they need more from guys not named Josh Sweat in impacting the quarterback?
No doubt. He had 2 sacks, which ties his career high with 11 this season with 5 games to go, which is telling that statistically both of Sweat's best years have come when he is playing under both Gannon and Rollis, when the 3 of them were in Philly together in 2021. No player other than Sweat registered a quarterback hit or a sack against the Bucs. It's tough to win games if you have one player making an impact in your front 7.
It's funny you say that because the Buccaneers put Simeon Rice into the Ring of Honor on
coincidence
Sunday. Oh no, it wasn't coincidence, obviously. Yeah. And Simeon was.
I couldn't help smiling. Then I saw your quote from his press conference or whatever. I saw that, and oh my gosh, did I smile?
There was about 5 or 6 that he put out there. I mean, he basically said, "I'm going to be in the Hall. If I'm not in the Hall of Fame one day, it's ridiculous." He did say, "I will give Simeon this." He said, and you can feel how you feel about this. He used to burn a lot brighter about why he wasn't in the Hall of Fame yet but then his parents and his brother passed away, and he wanted to do it for them. And now that they're not there, it's not as huge of a thing to him anymore. But let me tell you, he is counting on being there, and it won't be this year because he's not in the final. He's not a semifinalist.
He didn't make this final 26.
So, but he was on fire talking about at one point one of the I'm not asking any questions. I'm in the back of the room. I covered Simeon. My first year covering this team full time was his last year with Arizona in 2000. And I covered him part time as like a backup guy in '99 when he had 16 and a half sacks. So a couple things made me think of from this press conference. One, somebody said something about how great he played in Tampa, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, I was all pro before I even got here, so like whatever. Like I was a stud. And then he was telling a story about that 16 and a half sack season in '99 for the Cardinals. One, he's still bitter that he said he should have had 18 sacks that year, that I guess he lost a sack and a half because the NFL went back and looked at the tape and took a sack and a half away, and he clearly he calls it his 18 sack season. That's number one.
Simeon, let it go.
And then he was like, I did some things in Arizona, like Joe Green, my coach at the time, used to come to me before the game and says, heavy is the head that wears the crown. You're the only one, man. He goes, if you don't do it, nobody's gonna. And he goes, if you go back and look, he goes, I had 16 and a half sacks that year. He goes, I don't think we had anybody else with more than 2. And I was thinking back, and I'm like, I think that's possible for that '99 team. That was not a good, that was right after the playoffs, and they lost a bunch of guys.
Eric Swan.
Now,
Mark Smith.
This is, Eric Swan was gone by
then.
Oh, no, maybe
Okay.
he wasn't gone by '99.
Okay.
I forget, but he wasn't producing as much as earlier.
That'll probably end up in Wise Guy and I'll lose. Go ahead.
But I bring it up in part because you were saying, does there need to be other people now? I don't think Josh Sweat and the rest of the team is 16 and a half to 2 ratio kind of feel. I mean, Calais is having a good year. They've had some other guys, but you don't want to have it be too lopsided where the team can worry about one guy. And, going down the stretch, it's only about Josh Sweat and the rest of them aren't there. And I do think they need more production. But again, when you have a record like this, you're going to look around the roster and you're going to be able to find plenty of places saying, we probably need a little bit more there.
I don't know much, but I know this much. Sean McVay's going to have a plan for Josh Sweat, and he's going to take his chances with everyone not named Josh Sweat, especially after a 2-sack game, just to get the attention of McVay and that coaching staff, which I thought was brilliant. Jonathan Gannon and Nick Ross putting him inside for that second sack, so he's not subject to some of the chips off the edge, and sort of like what Green Bay did with Micah Parsons, made Micah really tough when the Cardinals played Green Bay because he wasn't always coming off the edge.
If a player is going to win their one-on-ones, move him around. That is the freedom that Sweat mentioned when he signed with the Cardinals in March, of something he enjoyed in Philadelphia with those two, and that he was excited to get back to having here with the Cardinals.
Darren Calvisi Consulting, the Pauly off-season division, has a story idea for you.
I'm listening.
You need to sit down Simeon and Carlos Dansby, and that'll be the world's best conversation between those two guys. That would be a conversation.
I'm going to ask each of them, who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame faster?
Let's get cultured. Danny, we'll segue to you.
Getting cultured with Danny. It is not just directed at Paul.
Am I the default uncultured Philistine around here?
Yes.
You got me very excited now.
I am on social media and consume more pop culture than both of you combined.
I think I'm being unfairly profiled, but go ahead.
Let's go. Good news, Paul. Cheetos not going anywhere.
Okay. Wait, what do you mean?
Wouldn't Paul know that before you?
Nope, I know that before Paul.
Why was he wasn't claimed off waivers? I put him on waivers. Nobody claimed
There
him?
is a biotech company working on an anti-aging dog pill.
Oh, no.
It's a chewable tablet for dogs 10 or older, so it's meant for senior dogs to help promote healthy aging and extend their lifespan. And this company recently cleared a big FDA step to conduct larger clinical studies. So supposedly by 2026, this might be on the market.
This feels a little Ozempic-y for dogs in terms of an idea.
Another idea through the cracks for Paul.
So wait a minute. They've innovated a fountain of youth for dogs before humans? Is that what we're understanding here? Priorities.
Paul.
I get it. It's kind of ironical, if you will, as I create a word, because just yesterday was the first day of Advent, and there is an Advent calendar, wait for it, with doggy treats by every day leading to Christmas.
Cute.
And Cheeto got an Advent Day 1 treat yesterday. And yours truly, once again, proving our axiom, anything you can sell to humans, humans will buy for their dogs.
I don't think you have much room to complain considering you got out of the Thanksgiving Day parade, Paul.
That is true. I shouldn't,
Wait, what happened?
Complain.
Did
You
that
got
come
out
up?
of the parade.
I was granted a clemency from
What? Did they
attending
hear the
parade.
podcast and they're like,
That's what
fine,
I
if you're going to be this much of a jerk about it, don't come.
Yeah, well, it turns out it underwhelmed even more than usual, and so I don't think there will be a repeat attendance
They
next
need
year.
your car,
Yes.
Paul. Dancing with the Stars wrapped last week, and the winner went to Robert Irwin, the conservationist and zookeeper son of Steve Irwin. He won season 34 10 years after his older sister Bindi won. So now they're trying to get their mom to be on next season and go for a three-peat.
So, what sort of competitive advantage do you have if you grew up in Irwin? I mean, you grew, that was your
I think
lifestyle,
it's just
right?
charm, not
Right?
dance. I think just charm.
Okay. All right.
And last, it was kind of a rough week, I'll be honest, to find stuff with you guys. But ending on a good note, Chadwick Boseman's legacy lives on. The actor was posthumously awarded his Hollywood Walk of Fame star 5 years after the Black Panther star died following a private battle with colon cancer.
Wow. Wow.
That's cool.
That is cool.
I'm gonna avoid doing the Wakanda symbol.
And
I think
I
that
am-
would look poor, but
And I'm saving any sort of tidbits I want to share regarding college football until we get to a later
Yeah,
segment.
we'll get
so
to
you both have been cultured. You're welcome.
I will say, I think you should give a little credit to Paul. I mean, technically, Paul cultured you at the outset of this program with Landman.
with Landman?
Man, that's right. Oh, man.
Sure, why not?
Although,
we've got Wise Guy coming up. I'll give one to Paul.
Upon further review, what Dani just said about 30 seconds ago, it was hard finding anything for you guys. She qualified that. It was hard finding any stories. It was stories that are, quote, for you guys, applicable to you guys.
That's fair.
I'm not sure how to take that exactly. All right, we know who the guy is. The man is Trey McBride. There's no doubt about that. What sort of records is he going to set this week? That's really the question. I don't have it
He's
in
just
front
going
of
to
me.
keep breaking his own records.
I mean-
he just set the record for most catches. His first one marked 302 in his career Sunday in Tampa, which was officially the most by a tight end in their first 4 seasons, which means now every week McBride is just going to break his own record.
Well, I mean, the one, and we've got the rest of the season, but the one that he's barreling towards that I think has probably more significance than any of them
Yep,
is
let her
going to
rip.
be the number of catches in a season for a tight end. He's on pace to absolutely obliterate Zach Ertz, 116 catches.
Okay, so going into Tampa, he was on pace for 124.
Yes.
Zach Ertz's record is 116.
Yes.
Is he? So now he's beyond 124.
He
at
had
least
8
tracking.
catches
Okay, there
Sunday.
you go. So that's that. Okay, not only is that ridiculously impressive considering the amount of defensive attention he gets, but the fact that he played with Zach Ertz, right? Zach Ertz was ahead of him, that he only got his opportunity when Zach Ertz went down the middle of his second year in the NFL, and no one was sure what to expect. I tried to sort of ask in the Trey McBride presser to start this week about his rookie year versus now.
Yeah. It was a good question.
But
I'm going to give you some props, Paul.
it's like the third time he's denied the question. He will not reflect upon his rookie year. I'm not going to call it a disappointment, but I will say the forecast was cloudy coming out of his rookie year.
I mean, first, I'm going to give him a little grace. I mean, it's when we got him, but considering it was less than 24 hours after they lost yet another game, you could just tell he wasn't in a big reflective mood at this point.
I get it. I mean, I don't know how sore he is on a Monday morning. He's got to be
physically sore.
Oh,
because I think mentally he was pretty sore.
Yeah, sure. And he runs hot during the game after the touchdown. He's screaming, "That's who I am. That's what I do." There's a few other expletives involved in there. He was telling anybody who would listen, mainly wearing a Tampa uniform, "Here I am. Try and stop me. You can't." It is. I mean, he is that guy. He is that confident these days. But good thing he's 25 because getting up on a Monday morning, the kind of shots he takes and the way they use him in the blocking game. I mean, they're and as exhausted as he can be during some of the TV timeouts, he'll come over and take a knee. I mean, again, he's leaving it all out there.
He said he acknowledged. Well, I don't know if he acknowledged. somewhere. Maybe it was Wolf broke down the play where he was blocking, and he was talking about it. Trey McBride looked a little tired at that point. And when you're doing a 4th and run, and I think pretty sure that was the 4th quarter, like, again, that all plays into it. I mean, look, the guy, we're going to talk about him a million more times, Dani, because he's the best player they have, and he's having a fantastic season, even though the wins aren't coming, and he deserves every accolade. It came out this week, he's the leading vote getter among all tight ends in the NFL for the Pro Bowl.
And you know what? To have that distinction on a team with a losing record, that's a big deal. To be in a market that's not top 10, I mean, that's a big deal. And actually, it sort of restores my confidence in the voters that, a lot of years that's not the case. It's more of a popularity
You're
vote.
talking about the Pro Bowl.
Pro Bowl,
okay.
Right?
I know. I thought you said it
sorry,
restored your confidence in voters. I would just want to...
Yeah, I mean, just in the process, I guess is what I'm saying.
I didn't mean to throw you, Paul.
Sorry.
I'm trying to have some fun.
You're right.
And
I'm rambling on this.
No,
You're
you're not rambling.
Yeah,
you're not rambling.
Right.
I was trying to make a joke, and I just screwed it all up. Stop everything.
No.
We'll just redo that whole thing.
No, go ahead.
Anywho, McBride deserves all the recognition he's getting because this is not one-off situations. It's not every couple of weeks that McBride is carrying the offense on his back physically with the plays he's making, physically putting his body on the line with the hits he's taking and getting double teamed as often as he is. McBride has also stepped up to be the heart and soul of this offense since losing James Conner. And that's something McBride's aware of. That's part of the reason he is as animated as he is when he has a big catch, when he has a first down or a touchdown, is trying to spark everyone around him. And McBride has done that consistently. The other mark he continues to hit every single week is number of consecutive games with 5 or more catches, going back to last season. And he's officially surpassed Larry Fitzgerald for the most by an Arizona Cardinal. So this is something that McBride has worked on since last season to be that reliable target, regardless of who is throwing the ball his way. To come as far as he has as a rookie, drafted into a situation where there's a veteran tight end, and it's not a situation where the Cardinals were necessarily using a lot of 12 personnel, right? The perception was the Cardinals had drafted Zach Ertz's replacement, and I'm not sure that was necessarily well received by a lot of people, and McBride didn't get a lot of opportunities till late in the season, and the Cardinals were dealing with a plethora of injuries at that point. But he continued to work hard and earn a spot on this roster, not just as a pass catcher, but to be well-rounded and be a good blocking tight end as well.
Let's see if Landman can cover Trey McBride. Trey McBride's got to have some Landman trash talk. If he's covering him and he beats him for a catch, take that back to West Texas Billy Bob. Start calling Nate Billy Bob. We'll see how that goes over. That's my suggestion. Free advice.
You should offer that up.
You should offer that up.
I'm sure that'll go over well.
You think
because, of course, I know a lot about in-game trash talking. Next, Dani, the segue would be you said whoever's throwing him the ball, because we have seen him with excellent chemistry, no matter who the quarterback is, ... That's our segue to Kyler Murray. Give us the latest. Where does that all stand, and what do we know? Known and unknown.
The known is Kyler Murray's practice window will not be open this week, so he will remain on IR, which will be 7 games missed, if my math is correct there. He's already missed the minimum 4 games, and we should clarify, just because a player misses the minimum 4 games does not mean that their practice window will automatically be open or that they will be ready to go the previous game. I've seen some things online about, he'll automatically be back against the Rams. That was the earliest. But Gannon, that's how he started his Monday press conference, was Murray is not at a point, health-wise, where they can open up his practice window. So it'll continue to be Brissett at least through this week.
Okay. So he hasn't played since the Titans game.
Nope.
And we haven't heard from him since before the Titans game, right?
No, he talked after the Titans game.
He did talk after that game, okay.
Because one of the last questions that was asked is, how's your foot? And he said, we'll see, or something like that.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, look, Jacoby Brissett continues to impress. And the more we hear from behind the scenes, and Drew Petzing talked a little bit about it to start this week against the Rams, everything he's doing behind the scenes, everything he's doing in terms of the work ethic. A number of guys have said, just talking to guys on the offense, you can't possibly recreate or practice every look you're going to get. You can't happen. So that's why he goes above and beyond. That's why he's looking at film of the upcoming opponent and going back several years and looking at the coordinator and then taking out clips and sending them to everyone from McBride to Michael Wilson, et cetera.
McBride said that. We'd heard from Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson the last week that Brissett will be at home at the end of the night watching film, and he'll text them clips of watching film and say, hey, go to this page of the playbook and talk through things. And I asked McBride if he's received similar texts Monday, and McBride had a little smirk and said that Brissett was watching film from 8 years ago and saw something he liked on how he thinks McBride should run a route. That's detailed.
That's when your quarterback is legitimately an assistant offensive coordinator.
He's been playing for 10 years. Brissett probably thought, oh, shoot, you know what? 8 years ago, I remember this. That's crazy.
After Kurt Warner retired, we learned in depth just how impactful he was in creating the game plan every single week, that the offensive coaches would wait for Kurt to show up on Monday afternoon or whatever. He'd done all the film work on the next opponent. Then they would start game planning.
If you go back and look, when Kurt first retired, he made mention multiple times that the big reason he retired wasn't getting his head blown up in New Orleans or the physical pounding. It was the mental strain of essentially what you're just talking about on a weekly basis.
And that's what people don't see is those, Tom Brady at the end, right, was this. He essentially took BA's offense and sort of recreated and retrofitted it to, match his skill set and what he wanted. He was a pseudo offensive coordinator in a lot of ways. And speaking of Brady, here's a question for the Jacoby Brissett press conference this week that I didn't have the guts to ask last week. Although it's not like a pointed question or anything. But his rookie year was spent with Tom Brady. He was in the same room. So he cites Phillip Rivers a lot because he spent more years with Phillip Rivers. But he was in the same quarterback room as a rookie with Tom Brady. And I'm real curious how influential and impactful that was, because he appears to have that same sort of work ethic.
Influential in football or in possibly cloning his dog?
That's right. You're right. Tom Brady.
Well, if they would have had this damn pill already, Brady wouldn't have had to clone his dog. It would just still be living.
I just wanted to pause there to give him a chance to clip that for the Open. They grabbed my Ahoy Matey last week. They put that in the Open. I didn't really need that. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
Well, maybe in this Wise Guy, you'll say something else cool.
Wow. Somebody wants to get to Wise Guy. Okay, here we go. No further ado.
It's time for The Wise Guy, the world's fastest growing Cardinals quiz show. The stakes are low, the winner gets absolutely nothing. Here's your hostess with the mostest, Dani Sureck.
Love this time of the week. Darren, you are our reigning champ. LA Week. Take it away.
I just want to say for the record, I get something out of this. It might not be tangible.
It's not nothing.
You know what I don't appreciate, by the way?
Or a farm off of these wins, baby.
You know what I don't appreciate is how we keep score here, and we don't just put the number of victories. We mark it off like we're cavemen, just one slash at a time.
Cody the caveman.
I do that, actually. Would you prefer I do it differently and have 12, 13, 14?
I think it'd be a little less embarrassing just to have a simple number versus like all these check marks, and then I have 2. And there's like, you almost need double
Paul,
spacing for Darren's wins.
I want to make Paul feel better here.
Here we go.
You, Paul, and Danny both went 9-6 in the picks this week. An excellent record, not beating me out by 1 pick. I was a lousy 8-7, which I will admit I thought was going to be way worse because I started the week 0-4. I missed all the Thanksgiving games and the Friday game, and I'm like, oh, this is headed towards disaster.
I got the Packers over the Lions, and then I was really feeling myself and spouting off like this is the week that I go 14-0, and then I promptly lost like the next 5 games. So,
I got one Thanksgiving incorrect, but I will not specify any further. I don't appreciate you complaining about how I'm keeping score. If you want it to look differently, win more.
Oh, man. Wow. Okay. All right.
I'll do number 1.
Here we go.
Now, let's get back on track here.
It can always get worse.
Question 1.
Yes.
In the late 80s and early 90s, the Los Angeles Rams offense had a dynamic duo at wide receiver featuring Henry Ellard and a player whose childhood babysitter gave him a well-known nickname because his cries sounded like a dolphin.
Flipper Anderson.
Correct.
Once had 300-plus yards receiving in a game.
Okay,
Here we
Paul.
go. Here we
Pick a
go.
question.
Okay. I used to watch those games twice a year. Okay, here we go. I'll take. Wait, what number was that?
That was one.
It was 1. Oh, man, don't do it. Don't. I'm going to go Buda Baker. Let's go 3. Okay. It has not been Kai in the last couple of weeks, so
I believe in you with this
play
one.
the percentages.
This, because you love special teams. Here we go, Paul. This former NFL punter and kickoff specialist spent the 2002 season with the Rams and part of the 2007 season with the Cardinals, but he's best known for his time with the Vikings, where he became famous for eating a Snickers bar he kept in a spare shoe on the sideline. Who was the, quote, Snickers kicker?
As opposed to Dicker the kicker? Oh, my goodness. You said it was Rams, Vikings, Cardinals.
Rams in 2002, Cardinals in 2007, but is best known for his time with the Vikings. A Snickers bar he kept in a spare shoe.
So it was after Neil Rackers. Morton Anderson II.
Darren with the possible steal.
I'll be honest. I know it's Joe Nedney. I'm drawing a blank. I'm going to be upset.
Mitch Berger.
Mitch
Burger. Oh, my gosh. Okay. All right.
I should start keeping a Snickers in my shoe.
All right, now we're playing for keeps. Here we go.
Darren,
Roll up
question
the
2
sleeves.
or
Here we
4?
go. Let's go.
I'm going to go with 4, please.
Mitch Berger.
This former Los Angeles Rams Hall of Famer made guest appearances on several TV shows, including The Brady Bunch, The Odd Couple, and Bewitched. There's no word on whether he, quote, head-slapped or sacked any of his co-stars. Who is he?
Deacon Jones?
Yes. It's correct. Paul, let's just play this for fun.
Are we? I mean, it is remarkable how the 2 easiest questions both go to Darren, and I get Mitch
you
Berger.
know what? Why don't you
And I
take this
knew
up with the
other
person
two.
behind the glass
Let's
since you have
go.
so many problems with me today?
There's no way I can tie? It's already over?
Let me make it clear. I don't write the questions and I
Okay.
don't put them in order.
Okay.
So
All right,
you
here
can
we
take
go.
that up with Jim
Let's
Mahundro.
go.
Question 2. This former first-round draft pick played inside linebacker for the Cardinals from 1989 to 1997. He spent the 1998 season with the St. Louis Rams. Emmitt Smith once called him his toughest opponent. Who is he?
Middle linebacker or linebacker?
Inside linebacker, yes.
Inside linebacker. Oh, man. That was right when I showed up to town. So, oh, man. I do not remember who played linebacker for the Cardinals in 96.
Was it Eric Hill?
It was.
Wait a minute. Hang on. I know Eric Hill. But wait, say it again. What was the timeline?
Inside linebacker for the Cardinals from 1989 to 1997. Spent the 98 season with the St. Louis Rams.
Okay. I thought of Eric Hill as much earlier than that. I thought he came in with Wolf. No? So he came in 5 years after Wolf? Okay. I was not aware of that. All right. As I had Eric Hill, and then all right.
That's why you got to go with your gut, Paul.
All right. Okay.
I'm just going to add one more tick to the score for Darren over
I'm going
here.
to blame Wolf on that. Wolf always talks about Eric Hill like they were homies for 10 years. Okay.
Could talk about Subway and Eric Hill.
What do we got here? How
about the Pro Bowl voting? We could talk about the Pro Bowl voting.
Go ahead,
Paul.
Yes.
Because you can go out and vote for Pro Bowl right now, and the Cardinals actually have 5 players in the top 10 at their positions, which I was a little surprised about, to be honest. Trey McBride, we mentioned already, leads all NFL tight ends. Josh Sweat, who we mentioned already, is 5th in outside linebackers. Calais Campbell is 5th among defensive tackles, and if Calais could somehow get a Pro Bowl invite this year, however it might work, would be pretty cool. Greg Dortch, 6th among returners, and Paris Johnson, 8th among offensive tackles right now.
All righty. Well, I mean, where is it this year, by the way?
It's in Santa Clara. They've moved it now to the Super Bowl site, so it happens early in the week of Super Bowl week now.
Okay.
I assume because all the media's there, so now
And it's still a flag football game.
Yeah, it's still,
Because they've changed it every year for 7 years in a row. Have they changed it again or no? Still flag football, or do you need to check real time to see if they changed it in the
Is it
45
still the
minutes
Manning
since
brothers?
we started?
Is this the first year it's not going to be the Manning brothers coaching?
I don't know. Good question.
That's a good question.
I did see some of the Manning cast for the first time in a long time. It's not bad, but they're like completely ignoring the game. Like they're reducing the game to picture-in-picture in the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
And he's up on a big board going back to video from like the 90s and breaking down some sort of concept, and then the game is literally minimized in the bottom right corner.
Well, again, if you're watching the Manning cast, you're looking for something totally different. If you're just looking for a straight,
I'm like, are they doing this because it's 30-7 and
No,
the Giants kicker just stubbed his foot into the ground?
That's usually how it is. And I'll be honest, there's been a couple times that I've watched the Manning cast in a closer game, or I care more about it, and I can do a little bit of it. Honestly, I actually like it better when it's just the two of them, because then they do totally focus on the game. Once you get a guest in there, things get a little different.
Yeah, especially when the Zoom is terrible and anyway. All right. What else do we need to know about?
I mean, we
Here
could put
comes
that in winning behavior if you want.
Sean McVay and the Rams. Anything else we need to know, or should we just advance to the big finish here and get some winning behavior going? Dani has an opinion on college football, apparently.
Well,
right?
Well, I was going to talk about that in winning behavior.
Oh, okay.
It's on there.
Well, should we? Why don't we get that intro there, Omo, before we get ahead of ourselves?
I see you. Let's go. Can you display winning behavior? You have to consistently display winning behavior.
That's winning behavior.
You got to define what winning behavior is and hold people to that standard.
Yes.
I didn't put this on here, but Lane Kiffin is the first one in winning behavior, and I'm not one to follow college football quite closely. Although I did say on the shuttle back to our cars after landing Sunday night to Dave Pasch that he called history with the Egg Bowl. It was Kiffin's final game with Ole Miss, and holy smokes, college football is just a completely different animal. He gets Ole Miss to the point they're 11-1 on the verge of making the playoffs, and he decides to dip and go to LSU, and holy smokes. It's hard to keep up with everything I was seeing online, but at one point I saw that LSU was sending 3 planes because they were expecting Kiffin to bring a significant amount of his coaching staff. Kiffin was under the impression that he was going to be able to coach Ole Miss through the playoffs and then go to LSU. And my favorite picture was the wheeling cart of the clothing rack that was out on the tarmac with all of Lane Kiffin's clothes because Ole Miss is so upset they said, get your stuff out of here.
When it comes to winning behavior, this was a conversation we were having on the plane. I'm not sure if you were already into sleeping because you had the hard day in the sun.
I was writing the coach's TV show.
Okay, that's what it was. But there was a handful of us. Kyle Deroni, who works with us, Dave Pasch was involved. Our boss Surf was involved. But it is mind-blowing to me the number of people, famous people. Now, there was arguments of why these famous people were doing it last week, but like the number of people saying that Lane Kiffin should be allowed to keep coaching Ole Miss even if he took the job. I can't even wrap my head. What the F are you even talking about? That is about as unwinning behavior as you can find.
Props to Kiffin's agent, because supposedly Kiffin will get whatever bonus he was set to get with Ole Miss if they win from LSU. So if Ole Miss wins it all, Kiffin's still going to get $1 million from LSU, who, by the way, is now paying 3 coaches' salaries.
Oh my gosh! Wow, it's like
and here's what really was icing on top was today on Twitter. I saw this. It was a quote tweet. I guess the founder or CEO of Crumble Cookies.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Went to BYU and pretty much tweeted he's got to put his foot down to make sure that BYU doesn't lose their head coach, implying that he was going to put down big money for their coach.
Yeah, because Penn State's trying to get the BYU coach.
So I guess if you're buying their cookies, you are supporting BYU's coach. I don't know. It's it's craziness.
Well, you mean AQ Shipley didn't come through with a big donation to the Penn State program?
Well, we don't know that.
To recruit the next coach. I mean, come on now. High net worth
but
guy
backing
like
up
AQ.
now, I do know like North Texas's coach. I forget where he's going, but they did come to an agreement. Like this is North Texas' best year in forever. He is going to coach through the bowl game or whatever their situation is, and that was everybody else. But I guess I kind of understand that with North Texas being very obviously a stepping stone kind of school. And more importantly, wherever the guy's going, it's not in the same conference as North Texas. I mean, literally, this is like Ole Miss and LSU play each other every year. They're trying to win the same conference. That Lane Kiffin would think, why wouldn't they let me stick around and have an extra month to recruit all these good players to transfer after the season? And
now he's coaching his daughter's boyfriend. Because his daughter's boyfriend's the linebacker.
I just love the fact they wheeled his stuff out onto the tarmac.
Yes.
I mean, that's hilarious. I mean, it's akin to the wife throwing the husband's stuff out on the curb. I mean,
100%.
That's outstanding. Jonathan Smith, when he bolted Oregon State from Michigan State, the next day somebody went to a local Goodwill, and there were a ton of Oregon State jackets and all this other gear with Jonathan Smith inscribed inside, like the lapel and everything. It was all because he just put it in a huge box and dropped it off at the local donation center.
It's funny. I didn't mind getting to winning behavior so quickly because it's very sports related. And in fact, the other two things I had in there were NFL related because I wanted to get to them. One, again, not winning behavior. I understand Eagles fans are whatever they are, and I understand they're upset. But people went and egged the offensive coordinator's house.
And there's video of it out there?
Because they took it and then posted it.
That's what people do these days, yeah.
It's so infuriating. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Well, no, it's not the dumbest thing I've ever heard. There are dumb things out there, but
you can only hope the video will be their downfall and somehow they'll get identified off the video and brought to justice.
Yes.
Okay. And then Jackson Dart.
Okay. Everybody watched Monday's game?
Yes. I mean, clearly Paul did. He's got it out for the kicker.
Oh, that's true. Young Hoku, you're just not a
Only
fan.
thing better than the kicker was the pylon cam of Jackson Dart flying airborne above the pylon cam of the first down marker.
You've had multiple concussions. And the best part, I heard Chris Canty on ESPN Radio this morning, a one-time defensive lineman in the league, basically saying, I don't see what the big deal was. It was a shoulder hit. That's not going to hurt Jackson Dart. I'm like, what? First of all, he went flying so far that he had a chance to land on his head and give himself a concussion. What are you talking about? And
I mean, you've just missed X number of games. You've talked about being available for your team, and then you don't get out of bounds. It's akin to when Buda Baker put that message out in his presser a couple weeks ago for Trevor Lawrence. Hey, thou shalt be subject to a big hit unless you slide early because you have a tendency to get down late, and you'll pay the price if you don't get down. And there's no doubt Buda put that out there for Trevor Lawrence to hear.
Against the Cardinals, Baker Mayfield played smart with his hurt, non-throwing shoulder. You have to learn that. And you don't want to learn from the sense of getting a bunch of concussions.
I don't know if you have to learn it. I think you have to make the decision that I'm not going to be a tough guy. I mean, there's been a lot made of how Jackson Dart and Cam Scatteraboo have vibed so well together is because Jackson Dart was a one-time running back and he never really got that mentality out of his system. Okay, that's fine. But if you get hurt, you're not helping anybody. And I thought the Patriots were looking to lay the lumber a little bit yesterday. But real quick, it was funny to me, not funny, haha. The guy he made a big deal about it last night on the broadcast and saying he 100% agrees that these quarterbacks basically should be punished because they all slide late and it's a bunch of hooey. It was Troy Aikman, who again had maybe 62,000 concussions in his career.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
He's saying quarterbacks, you don't get to like, and Patrick Mahomes has been a bad influence on the rest of the league, I think, running on the sideline, pretending he's going to go out and then not. I'm with it. Like, I'm okay with the rules that protect quarterbacks, but the quarterback's got to like take advantage of the rules and not to over advantage of the rules and basically put these defenders in a bad place.
And you know what? If you want to play that style of ball in a playoff game, I get it. Daniel Jones 3 years ago ran it like 17 times, and the Giants upset the Vikings. Remember that? It was Brian Daboll's first year.
Yeah.
By the way, A.Q. Shipley, Brian Daboll, your next head coach at Penn State? We'll see about that. That name is getting thrown out there. I heard this morning on national radio.
We're going to have Zach Gershman and A.Q. Shipley do a short Penn State podcast.
That's right. So, okay, the two teams that we've mentioned obviously are tracking for the Super Bowl, right? The Bears and the Patriots.
Of course.
So that's of course that's coming,
Who didn't see
right?
that coming from 1986? I mean, 2025.
God, that might have been the worst Super Bowl of
85.
all time.
That was the 85 season, the 86 January.
When the Bears won like 46
to 10,
or
baby.
whatever, to 10. Yeah, oh my goodness.
Walter Payton couldn't even get a touchdown.
Yeah.
They had to give it to the fridge.
That's right. You're absolutely right. Oh my God.
Danny's like, we went full circle.
Yeah.
We went from one thing I don't know anything about to something else I don't know anything about.
I'm just sitting here with a smile.
I bet you Brian watched that Super Bowl.
Probably.
And I bet he was out by halftime, like most of America.
And Danny's like, I wasn't even a twinkle in an eye.
Nope.
By the way, is there now a commercial campaign to make the Monday after the Super Bowl a national holiday? Have we seen any of that?
I haven't.
Have you seen that? So
No.
they're using,
that would absolutely be winning behavior.
well,
by the way,
you know that's where it's tracking. It's going to be 18 regular season games. There's going to be 2 byes, and then they're going to use President's Day weekend. Another week later into the month of February, that'll be Super Bowl weekend. Super Bowl Sunday, but then America will have off Monday for President's Day. That's where that's the grand vision of Roger Goodell. That's
I would
where
agree
it's
with
tracking.
that.
So
the Rams are pretty good as they come to town. Yeah,
and especially coming off a loss.
Yeah, see that kind of makes me hesitate a little bit. Like they're not probably all that thrilled.
So a number of guys talking about, okay, we got to reset things. And so what does that look like?
You talking about the Rams? Were
the
saying
Rams
that?
resetting things. And so,
well,
okay.
let's put it this way. The Cardinals had their way with the Rams in their home game last year. That was a million years ago, week 2. Marvin went off. The Cardinals dominated. The Rams are in a much different place. And
it was a close game in Week 17 last year. Remember at
Oh,
LA?
yeah.
That's the helmet off the helmet of Trey McBride.
Yep.
Yeah, no, they played well against the Rams last year, and I'll be fascinated. I mean, part of the problem that the Cardinals have right now, because they still got to play the Rams twice in these final 5 games, you've made the joke a few times like they're going to be resting everybody in that last. I don't know if they are. Everybody in this freaking division is even. They might have to win all the way out.
Yeah, after they drop that one, there's 3 teams in the NFC West with 9 wins. They're vying with the Bears again and other teams like Philly. The last thing the Rams want is to go to Philly and play another snow game like they did a year ago when they lost a pretty close game and played pretty dang well in the elements at Philadelphia. Eagles go on to win the Super Bowl. So do you think the Rams right now would value home field after what happened last year?
Although they should have won that game.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, so we've heard from Nick Rollis and Jonathan Gann the last couple of weeks that the last handful of games on the Cardinals schedule, they're facing a coach or a play caller who comes from the Sean McVay tree. And now you're getting ready to face Sean McVay for the first of 2 times. I mean, even though the Cardinals play well against the Rams, he's tough to coach against. He's very creative. He gets a lot out of his players. And the fact that they have a non-mobile quarterback, as non-mobile as they come, and Matthew Stafford, it's tough to stop him.
I want to, before we get out of here, I did want to bring up one thing. I think I brought it up before where T.J. Houshmandzadeh said that right after the draft, that Michael Wilson was the best receiver in that class. Okay, so JSN was in that class. Puka Nacua was in that class.
Oh, yeah.
However,
round 5.
The reason I'm bringing this up, Puka's Puka. But Marvin Harrison Jr. comes back, plays really well, but hurt his heel. So now we don't know if he's going to be out there against the Rams. If Michael Wilson has to be wide receiver 1 again, Puka or Michael Wilson this weekend? I'm just asking.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's interesting. T.J. Houshmandzadeh in the news for another reason. As the assistant coach of Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer in year 1 as a high school coach just won himself a section championship in San Diego. How about that? I could see Carson Palmer being a Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Without the weird tics.
Harbaugh goes to the University of San Diego.
Yep.
They win big at whatever level that is. And then Stanford was like 1-11. They hire Harbaugh. I was like, what? He's got 0 experience. Comes in, resurrect. 2 years later, he's beating the juggernaut Pete Carroll, coach Double Rainbow at USC, and the rest has been history. I could see Carson Palmer doing that.
Here's the thing. I think Carson Palmer would have the gravitas to do that. The difference is Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, sons of coaches, they were always going to be coaches. Carson Palmer will never be a coach beyond the high school level, in my opinion, because he's got too much other stuff in his life and he has no desire to spend that much time being a football coach. That would be my my thought.
I thought you were going to say there's no way he's going to wear the same outfit every day, the same khakis and sweatshirt every day like Jim Harbaugh.
He'll grow a mustache for No Shave November.
By the way, yes, how about Mike Vrabel?
Yes.
Who goes to the top of the power pole of mustaches. And then in sad news, Ben Steele, America's tight end coach, he shaved his mustache. Saw it in Tampa on the sideline. I'm like, Coach, where's the mustache? What's going on?
Well, Vrabel did too.
He probably had the same thought for you, Paul. Your training camp mustache.
Oh, that's a good walk-off.
Right.
Darren, do you want to end the podcast?
No, I'm
which
good.
way this week?
I am absolutely good.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
I'm totally good. Did not make anything this week.
In the old days of TV news, there was the follow-up file. Is there a follow-up file to last week's conclusion?
Not a
no coda this
Dinner
week?
went well. He turns off the mic.
And that'll do it for this edition of Cardinals Underground, brought to you by Pacific Office Automation.